Namaste. My name is Todd and I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga, and welcome to Asana Spotlight. Hey, please share this experience for people you know who love yoga, who need to get into yoga, who want to feel more peaceful and more aligned, especially in their legs and their hips. Because today, the asana that we're going to shine the spotlight on is called Utkatasana. Yep, say it with me, Utkatasana. And Utkatasana, Utkata, actually means fierce. It's the fierce pose, also known as the chair pose because it looks like you're sitting in an imaginary chair when you get into the pose. This pose is excellent for developing strength in the leg, especially the glutes. It's great for, I'm going to show you a therapeutic to do this pose with a belt that's going to help your knees. It's great for people with knock knees or people who have bow legs. And it also supports the arch in the low back to really make sure that lower back curve has both curve and length. And if you feel cold during this time of the year, then you should practice this pose. It's going to heat you up. And why is it called the fierce pose? I like to think of fierceness as a fierce longing for truth, for peace, for justice, for goodness, for more beauty in the world. This fierce longing to not put up with the stuff that we just know is not right or not truthful or doesn't, enhance life. The path that I teach, the Ashaya Yoga path, is from the Tantra tradition, and it's about a life-affirming philosophy, life-affirming path. We want to do things that grow life, that expand. But in order to expand our life, which whenever you're in an expanded mode, you feel joy. Think of the mind-altering drugs that expand your view. There's so much joy. Well, you can do this naturally with Utkatasana pose. But the way that we expand in Ashaya is you have to learn how to engage. And that is sort of our individual will, how to engage that. Instead of resisting what is or running from what is, not facing our life and not facing our sort of natural weaknesses and our imperfections. I mean, everybody does things that they wish they didn't do. I like to say we are perfectly imperfect just as we are. And that's the journey. I mean, we can never do everything perfectly. That's really a setup for failure. So we want to learn how to engage with life in a way that's life-affirming. So in order to expand, you have to engage first. Everything draws in first and then it expands out. Just take the image of a star. Like, what gives a star its light? You think of it, there's these sort of clouds of gas. And what gives them light is their capacity to pull in. And they contract so fiercely, like in the supernova situation when the star is at the end of its life cycle, that a nuclear fusion happens in the middle. And that contraction, the engagement of that star from periphery to core, is what then expands it into this radiant light. And because we come from stars, we're all part of the 5 elements, you could say that our nature is just like that of stars. The more you can engage with your life and really be there, be present for yourself, the more you're going to expand. And as you expand, you increase your capacity for freedom. And when you move in the direction of more freedom, you connect with your true nature. Your heart opens like a gateway opens up. And you recognize your true nature, which is joy. And when we have that revelation from our yoga practice, we can release some of the stress. We can release worrying about stuff. We can release anxiety about worrying, it's not going to work out in the future, which generates this intense worry and anxiety. First of all, you can't really control everything that's going to happen in the future. So part of this whole thing, like a fierce longing for freedom, would be to stop trying to control the uncontrollable. It's just wasted energy. And so all these teachings bring us back to the heart, which functions in the present moment. And what makes the heart healthy? It must contract, And after every contraction, what happens? Expansion, okay? Until the last contraction. And then, hey, the heart stops. But maybe we expand in other ways beyond the physical into the more subtle realms so our journey continues. Do you know? I mean, are you going to end yourself? Do we actually end? Like, we live this great life, there's so much suffering and so much joy and everything in between, and then it's over when it's over. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's something more. And I think as we start to engage and draw in, we become more subtle. And it's really through all the practice of yoga, the practice of meditation, we penetrate the subtle. And each time you go a little bit more subtle, you gain more power and more freedom to know ourselves. You know, a great example are the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. So, you know, earth is all condensed. There's a certain amount of power and freedom, maybe not so freedom because it's really a prisoner of its form. But when you get to the next more subtle element, which is water, instead of being still, it flows. Water flows. And look how water can really create these huge 1,000-foot gorges in the earth. So water has more power than earth, and it has more freedom. You see, water can move around. We'll go to the next element up, fire. Fire is even more subtle and more powerful and free than water because it's not attached to its form. Water can only take the shape of its container. Fire goes up. Fire goes away from gravity. Oh my God, it's so free. And it burns. It's much more powerful. And go to the next element up, air. Air also has more power and freedom because air can blow the fire out. And air is not contained to going up or down. Air expands like a, essential oil diffuser equally in all directions this way. It's omnidirectional air. And then sky, of course, has no boundaries, no limitations. Sky is just pure beingness, pure openness. So, all right, fierce longing for freedom through engaging with life. So the therapeutic we're going to learn today I call shins in, thighs wide. It's very simple. But let's come to a standing position at our mat, and we'll do a couple warm-ups, then we'll get right into the pose. Okay? See you in just a second. Okay, come to standing. Bring your feet hip distance apart, which is the second toe lines directly underneath the front of the hip bones. Might be a little wider than you think. For most people, it's maybe 4 to 6 inches. And then feet parallel, the front ankle, second toe lines, absolutely parallel like two railroad tracks side by side. Now engage your legs. So lift your toes, the arches will pull up. Draw from the feet all the way up into your pelvic core. Engage. Hug your shins. Take your thigh bones back now. So we're going to stick the butt back and pull the tailbone in simultaneously. Stand straight, lift your heart, shoulders back, palms in front. Take a moment. Let's open to the bigger universal energy. Consider for a moment what your deeper purpose is. What do you want to fiercely commit yourself to? What's important to you? What holds meaning for you? We want to connect with that fierce longing for freedom. And then inhale. Stretch your arms up. Exhale, fold heart forward. And engage your legs with the longing and the fierce longing for freedom. Bow into that. And then as you contract, keep your legs hugged. Shine like a star. Lift your heart. Exhale, bow, engage. Inhale, expand. Exhale. Now the more you engage, the more you'll be able to expand. That's how it works. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog pose. Alternately press one heel down, then the other, bend the opposite knee. Keep going and breathe. Then bend both knees, separate your feet a little wider than normal. Bend the knees a lot. Then hug your shins to the middle. Turn your thighs in and lift your sitting bones way up. Try to generate a low back curve. Look at your hands, fingers spread evenly, wrist creases straight ahead. Then claw your finger pads and roots and pull up to engage from your hands all the way up into your heart. In the process, lift your armpits up. Yeah.
with the fierce longing for freedom. Lift your armpits. You never thought there was freedom under there. Lift, and then melt the upper back. Squeeze your shoulder blades more strongly, we could say fiercely, onto the back of the heart. Align with the path that's life-affirming. Life has your back. Hug your shoulder blades. Those become like the hands of the divine. Then from your heart, push your hands from your heart, root the base of your shins back. Begin to lengthen your legs, but push from the base of the shins, not the heels. And expand your pose from the heart, which is the very center of this pose, center of the weight-bearing gravity. Expand into the earth and lift your sitting bones toward the sky. Enjoy the stretch. Inhale your right leg up high. Exhale, big lunge forward. Lean onto your left hand and give it a twist. Stretch your right arm up. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Squeeze your legs, come up. Hands to hips, find your balance. It's a little tricky here. Now engage your legs. So squeeze front leg to back, back leg to front. Pull your left hip slightly forward, right hip back, and then lift the back of your left thigh. In fact, put your left hand on the back of your thigh and push your leg up into your hand to find those muscles. Keeping that, take your outer right hip crease back and down. And then just right arm up. Reach your right arm up and your left leg up. Right arm, left leg. Right arm, left leg. And then stretch your left arm. Good. Lift your heart, arch back. Enjoy the stretch. Now, from your pelvis, push your left heel back and your right shin forward. So I want you to try to stretch. Even as you hug and scissor your legs, now you expand from the pelvic core out. Exhale, release. Step back, downward dog pose. And breathe. Remember the bigger energy. Remember that you come from stars. And the more you can engage with life, with a fierce longing for freedom, the more you'll be able to expand. And therein lies your happiness. Inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, lunge, twist. Lift your left arm up, open it up. Take your shoulder back more, left shoulder back, even head back. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, come up, hands to hips. Now engage yourself. We want to learn how to be steady in the storm. Scissor your leg so the front leg pulls backwards. The back leg pulls forward. And then square your hips to the front. Now lift your right thigh. Put your right hand on the back of your leg. Push your leg up into your hand. Now left arm up. Arch back. Expand out from your pelvis through the feet and from your pelvis up. Very good. Okay, maintain all that. Stretch your right arm up and then push your right heel back, left shin forward. Notice how that's going to expand you even more. Breathe. The fierce longing for freedom, more peace, kindness, beauty. How about justice? Exhale, sweep your arms out to the side. Come on down into plank. Inhale, thighs back, tailbone in. Exhale, chaturanga. You can put your knees on the floor if you need. Just hold chaturanga. I want you to grit your teeth a little bit here. Get fierce and then snarl. Make a little snarling sound or a growling sound. Okay, get real strong in the fingers. Gritty. Exhale, down. Point your toes back. And just let your heels splay out so you can feel what that's like. There's really no support. When you really let your shins go, there's no engagement. And that puts a lot more pressure on the spine. So engage. Point your toes straight back. Pull your heels a little closer together. Squeeze your shins. Spread your little toes. Then pull up from your feet to the pelvis.
Roll your thighs in, tailbone down, and then come up cobra. Now, instead of pushing your palms down, I want you to claw your palms backwards. Arm bones go back, shoulder blades hug. Hug in with a life-affirming attitude. We want to grow ourselves. We want to grow our life. Let the heart grow. Shoulders back. How do you let your heart open up more? More engagement in the shoulders. Head the arm bones back, shoulder blades curl into the back of the heart. Palate back, occiput up. And then come up a little bit more. From your pelvis, just push straight back through the feet. From your pelvis, rise a little more. Go a little more. Good, rise up. Yep. Break through the atmosphere here into the stratosphere. We want to taste some of that sky consciousness that's ultimately free, perfectly unbounded. And then exhale, come on down. Curl your toes under, come onto the knees, and then go back into downward dog pose. And step by step, walk in till your feet are hip distance apart, just like you started. Spread your toes, root your feet, and then inhale. Arms out to the side, rise up, and then exhale, bring it all home to your heart. Heart is where you integrate this fierce longing to engage with life and this longing to expand. Exhale, release. Find yourself a belt with a clasp. And first we're going to do Utkatasana as a little therapeutic. We're going to place the belt in two different positions. We'll start at the shins. So step inside the loop. And it's important now to keep your feet hip distance apart and place the belt up at the widest part of the shin. So it's going to be past the middle, about 3/4 of the way up. And you can keep the buckle in the middle. And then without moving your feet, pull the belt uncomfortably tight. And I'm serious about that. Uncomfortably tight. Very good. And that should stay. All right. So remember I said this was great for bow legs. I have bow legs, a little more on the right side. But what we're doing here is the belt is helping you engage shins in, hands to hips. Lift and spread your toes. Then, with the shins hugged, our goal is to push the thighs apart. So roll them in, move them back and apart. Then exhale and bend your knees. And be very vigilant so that your knees do not go knock-kneed. All right, so if you tend to be knock-kneed, then you got to push your thighs apart more. Cross your wrists like this. Put your fingers, finger side down on the inner thighs, and just push down so you look like there's 1,000 people in line at the bathroom at the concert and you're in the back of the line. All right, so stick your butt way back and then push your hands down. That will roll your thighs in, and then push your palms apart. Now the belt is holding the engagement. Okay, check the center of your knees. The center of the knee should be in line with toe 2 and 3, right in the middle between those two toes, 2 and 3. Check it out. Widen your sitting bones, and then see if you can bring your hands to your hips. Continue to widen your thighs. The belt is going to hold your knees in place. Lift and spread your toes. Turn your thighs in, stick your butt back. Now pull your tailbone in and take a moment to understand why this is called the fierce pose. It's also called the camper's pose for obvious reasons. Just think, when you go camping later this year or whenever, man, you're going to have an easier time. Okay, so this is part of the pose. Let's rest for a moment. So come up, legs straight. Take a big breath. And then again, lift your toes, hug your shins, and sit. And imagine you're going to sit on the very edge of a chair. Okay, roll your thighs in, stick your butt back, Now, push your knees wide, draw your tail in. All right, and here's where it gets very difficult. So you stretch, let's just stretch your arms straight out in front and try to pull the head of your arm bones back. Now, when you pull your tailbone in, pull your xiphoid process back and down as well. So we're going to pull the ribs in. And the last step, which is very hard, is to bring the arms up overhead. Stick your butt back. Hug in with a fierce longing for freedom, or just longing to get this part of the class over with. Breathe, armpits back. Yeah, now pull your ribs in. Pull your tailbone down toward the earth more, tailbone to earth. Xiphoid towards spine. And breathe. From the pelvis, push your feet from the pelvis, reach up through your fingers. Hold it. You can start to feel now your hips, your glutes, your knees, everything's kind of on fire. And this is Utkatasana, Utkata, the fierce pose. Root your feet down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release, slip out of the belt for a second. Oh, and just walk in place. Oh, very good. So I'm sweating like a fiend here. It's because the heat index is over 100 degrees. And I don't have air conditioning. So, okay, it is a living hell. All right, now we're going to place the belt in another location on the thighs. So make your loop a little bit wider. Step in. And make sure it's nice and wide to start. Now, put the belt above your knees, close to about the middle of the thighs, like this. Not too high up, so maybe just lower than the middle. Set your feet again, hip distance and parallel, and then pull the belt. And again, it's uncomfortably tight. Uncomfortably tight. Careful that you don't push your knees in. So now, when you stand up, lift and spread your toes, hug your shins, but now I want your focus to be on thighs wide. Turn your thighs in, stick your butt back, tail in, and then push your thigh bones wide without supinating your feet. So keep your big toe ball mounds down, inner edges of the feet stay down, but push. And you push so much, you try to break the belt. That's it. Okay, so that's what thighs wide feels like. Lift and spread your toes. And then exhale, Utkatasana. Push into the belt. Push, push. Thighs wide, thighs wide. Now stretch the arms. You see it's a little bit easier because the belt is providing engagement. Engage more fully and you'll be able to expand. Engagement is the key. Hug your shins, push your thighs. Line up the center of your knee in line with toe 2 and 3. Then stick your butt way, way back. Pull the tailbone in, pull your navel back, and here comes xiphoid. What we want is to eventually approach where you can stretch your arms almost all the way up. Hold, and then push your feet down to rise, and hobble over to a wall. If you have a wall nearby, this will be our last little rounds. Sort of like how to teach, how do you get T12 back? Well, come away from the wall by a foot, feet parallel, and put your hips at the wall, and then you can adjust your feet maybe a little further and bend your knees more. So your thighs are about on a, 30-degree angle or so. Spread your toes, engage with the fierce longing to expand. We contract in order to expand. Just ask the heart. Okay, now push into the belt. Stick your butt back into the wall. And now use the wall to slide your tailbone down. Inhale. Can you reach your arms up, thumbs at the wall? And then try to bring your armpits back to the wall. And then pull your ribs back to the wall. So this whole section, the xiphoid process goes back, T12 goes back, but you keep a low back curve. There it is. So that's the correct position for the back in Utkatasana. So the wall helps, the belt helps, but it's still a fierce pose. Do you feel it? Yeah, I feel it. Push your thighs apart into the belt. Hug your shins in. Engage in order to expand. Good. Tap into your fierce longing for whatever it is that you most deeply desire. And then exhale. Release your arms down. Push against the wall with your hands. Come out. Oh. And come out of the belt. Oh. Walk around a little bit. Feel your legs. Oh. This is very, very powerful. Okay, take a seat. I want you to just feel what's going on in your legs. So sit however you can sit comfortably, cross-legged. Roll your thigh bones in, which should be a lot easier to do now. Join your index fingers and thumbs. Lift your side ribs, head of the arm bones back. Place your head over your heart, over your pelvis. I like to say bring your palate aligned over the pelvis, because then the heart is right in the middle. Close your eyes, deepen your breath, and tune into the fierce longing of your own heart. Part of the struggle is we don't know what we want. So source your own heart. What do you truly desire? What is your purpose? You could think about what is your mission? Maybe you want to achieve better health. You want to work out more. You want to change your diet. You want to be a more kind and loving person. You want to develop a spiritual practice. Think of whatever it is that moves you. And then visualize yourself in that longing and see the outcome you want. Perceive the outcome you wish for. If it's a world of more peace, love, and kindness, envision that now. If it's having a greater sense of health, personal power, or relationship, or love, visualize that now. And then give thanks as though it were already so. As you tap into the fierce longing of your heart to bring your best self forward in your life, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Let's connect with the great light of consciousness, the great light of the Absolute that is supremely free, completely unbounded and expansive. And let's bring our hearts together and hold a positive image of the world right now, the world you wish to live in. We'll take a breath and chant Om. The freedom in me bows to the freedom in you. Namaste. All right, thank you so much. Hey, I'd love to hear your comments about this class. So on Facebook, once this is over, you can do it right now. Just add your comments. If you have questions, add those as well. Questions about the pose, anything that I taught. Just let me know how this felt for you. And then a little later in the day, I'll get back to you. I can't do it right away because I have commitments, but I will be in touch. Okay, take care. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.